What do you do?
I work for UNICEF in the Middle East, and I'm the coordinator of an initiative called No Lost Generation, which pushes for investment in education and child protection and adolescents and youth affected by the Syria and Iraq crises.
What drove you into this field?
Well, I can't really imagine why anyone wouldn't want to be in this field. I mean, it's urgent. We all want to help other people. These are the most vulnerable people suffering horrible things, and there are solutions. There are ways to alleviate the suffering of people who are affected by conflict. And it's such a joy to be able to be part of delivering that. It's such a privilege. And at the same time, the work is energizing. The teams that you work with are wonderful, full of committed people. And it's just interesting. It's never dull.
What is your greatest source of energy?
It's hard to pick one because there are a few. I think that we all have this inner drive when something is ignited, whether it's your passion or your interest or your duty or pleasure, and it means that surprisingly when you're under pressure because you're so committed to something, because there's a deadline, because there's an urgency, because a lot of things are at stake, people's lives or their well-being or the success or otherwise of a project, it means you can stay up all night, you can work all night, you can do amazing things that you never thought you could. You can produce things quickly, you can say things more clearly than you ever said them before. So it's hard to pinpoint. It's that sort of just total deep commitment, which is a pleasure to, it means that it's not work. It just means that you're following your natural flow.
What was your most impressive childhood experience?
Every time I think about the pleasurable moments in my childhood and the crazy moments, I'm always with my brother. So we moved around and lived in different countries. So we had these nice friendships, but they were always temporary. And I think parents in the olden days were a bit less present. They were always on the telephone or having a glass of wine or something like that. And so my brother was my partner in crime, and we did crazy, stupid things. We climbed on top of the roof of the house. We made potions. We made up languages together. So I can't isolate one thing.
What does home mean to you?
I'm wrestling with that question. I mean, home, in the end, in theory, it's really about people. They're the things that you care about. They're the things that you save in a burning house. Doesn't matter about the house. You need your children. You need your loved ones. At the same time, there's something about being part of a community, part of a culture, which I think the older you get, and I feel like I'm getting a bit older, there's something there which is more important than I used to think. And so, for me, when I meet a British person, so I'm British, overseas, I don't know, suddenly I feel there's something I instantly click, even if we're very different people, even if I'd actually, there's nothing we have in common. More and more, I feel like there's something deep inside me which does long to be part of a community, and originally that means Britain.
What is the best advice you've received?
I met an old lady once because I was playing dares with my friend, and one of the dares was to run through her garden and touch her house. She had a big house, and we got to know each other. And she was just so wise, and she was 60 years older than me, but gave me great advice. And I said to her once, I don't know what to do. I have this option, I have that option. I was at a bit of a crossroads. And she said, it's very easy to make decisions in life. it's all about the children. What is best for the children? If your children, the children who are depending on you, the children that you're trying to help, just look at that and then do that.
If it's not the same, what is the best advice you can give?
One thing I learned is there's a difference between advice and counsel. Advice is when you tell someone what they should do. Counsel is when you help them to decide what they should do. So that made me think I don't want to give any advice. If you were to say to me, should I do X or Y, and you were really torn and you didn't know, I would say to you, flip a coin. And then the coin will tell you what to do. And if you suddenly feel disappointed, you know it should be the other one.
What would you like to achieve in this lifetime?
I just want to live a meaningful life. We just have one shot. And I'm seized with this notion that you've got to go out there, especially we're so privileged. I'm so privileged. I mean, look, we're safe, we're warm, we have resources, we have our families. I just want to do something to make the world a tiny bit of a better place. And I settle for something small, saving a kitten, that's not bad. But I'd love to try to make some kind of, even just creating something beautiful and leaving that in the world, or trying to shift attitudes a little bit, or improve a little bit of legislation, whatever it is. I want to be able to look back on my life and say, I lived a life that was true to myself. I followed what, my heart was telling me, and I left something a little bit better behind.
What brings us together?
I have this deep felt belief that all human beings really are the same. I mean, we really all love the same things. Everybody loves to be hugged by, their favorite person. Everybody loves to eat nice things. There's such a common experience in being human, but I think we're really modern history, the last century and this century, we've seen some really such deep evil. It makes you wonder whether some people are not born with that innate human sort of joy of life, that love, human bonds with desire to do good, which I assume naturally is the starting point for everyone. So I do wonder, how sometimes there are people in this world that are just doing so much harm, and how can they also kind of almost be the same species? It doesn't feel right. But because I can't square it in my own head, I suppose I just think if you dig deep enough, you'll find the human somewhere there. And it'll just be so basic. It'll just be somebody who wants to be loved, somebody who wants to enjoy life, someone who wants to love.
What makes us human?
I think it's just the complexity, the ability to hold these different ideas and to develop them further and to create works of art. And to predict the future and to see the course of our actions and the consequences. And that brings a lot of responsibility with it.
What role does spirituality play in your life?
Well, on the one hand, none. I mean, just not enough, because I don't have a religion, and I don't really have any kind of spiritual framework or instruments or people mentoring me or anything. But on the other hand, it's huge, because I feel that lack every day. I'm really I feel like I'm sort of searching. You want to be a good person. You want to be nicer to your friends. You want to be more honest in your exchanges. And, all of that work that you want to do on yourself, it feels like it's a journey. It feels like it's a challenge. Is that a spiritual journey? I think not, but it's so distracting and it's quite hard work. That I think you can kind of do that for a long, long time, and then you still haven't kind of done the spiritual thing, which is harder. And I suspect it's about not achieving. It's not about goals. It's not about measuring. Did I get better? Am I, more in touch with my friends? Whatever. It's about understanding how to kind of let go and live, and to be okay with not achieving things. But it's really so hard in the modern world, because you have so many options, and at the same time, you don't have much guidance.
What is your strongest conviction?
I love to think that we are getting slightly better as a people, you know, as a world, that we're not quite so hideous as we used to be. And so, I don't know, my conviction is that we all have a role in trying to inch us forward a little bit and get us to a slightly better place, and limited time to do that.
What is the most courageous decision you've made?
Well, I'm so lucky. I haven't made any courageous decisions in my life. And I think sometimes when you're faced with something a little bit difficult and challenging, the best thing to do is shut your eyes and jump.
Who are you?
You know, I feel like a girl. It's a bit silly because I'm no longer a girl, but I do feel the older I get, the younger I get, the more I just feel like the little girl that I was. I feel that we, you know, I don't know, all of us kind of can carry around the same fundamental things that we like and the same things that make us frightened. And I wonder if people really shake them. I don't think I have. I think I'm still frightened of things, silly things, you know, what somebody will think of me, or that I'll do the wrong thing and I'll upset someone, or, you know, and I just, oh my goodness, I haven't changed since I was 10. In fact, I'm more the 10-year-old now than I was when I was 10. So I don't know, it makes me think we're all just humans, and it's not that complicated. And even people who are really, really sophisticated, underneath, they're probably quite, you know, they're quite similar.
What's your name? And if you know, what does it mean?
My name is Catherine. Comes from katharos, which is Greek. I think it means pure. My second name is Louise. And I don't think there is a story. There's kind of a made-up story in my family, which is that my father used to call me Lulu, and that means pearl. And we were in Arabic, and we were living in the Arab world at the time. But it's just the most straightforward name. Every second person in the UK is called Katie, which is my name for short.